My roommate got me a stripper while I was streaming in a maid outfit. Dylan's POV. I adjusted the frilly white headband on my wig, pouted at the camera, and fluttered my lashes. My phone was propped against up a stack of unopened bills on my desk. Classy, right? Still, I was just in character. Leah, the flirty maid with a hopeless crush on her emotionalist, constipated boss. And then, I said in my sweet voice, drawing circles on my cheeks with a gloved finger. He looks at me with those brooding eyes, like he's trying to do math. But really, he's just fighting the urge to say, "You look kind of cute today." But no, Mr. Mysterious just grunts and walks away again. The comments were going wild. "Oh my god, tell us more about Mr. Mysterious. Brooding guy sounds hot. You're so in love with him, it's adorable." Yeah, Mr. Mysterious. Totally based on Caleb. No one knew, obviously. If anyone knew in real life, I spent my nights prancing around in a maid dress, thirsting over my emotionally unavailable roommate. I'd actually die. Just as I leaned forward, dramatically pretending to swoon, my door burst open. Surprise! My heart stopped. There, standing like he accidentally walked into a crime scene, was Caleb. In a full suit and tie, accountant glory. And next to him, a guy in a glittery harness and very little ease, holding a boombox and a forced smile. Oh my god. What the actual... I squeaked, grabbing my skirt and diving behind the desk like it could protect me from humiliation. The chat exploded. Wait, is that him? Called it! That's Mr. Mysterious! A stripper. What's happening? The stripper gave Caleb an awkward look. You said it was a birthday surprise. Caleb's eyes were glued to me. Not to the streamer. Me. Dylan, in thigh highs and ruffles, and enough skin to scandalize my ancestors. And he wasn't speaking. Strippers, nice and all. I muttered, forcing a laugh as I propped back into frame. But I think that's enough surprises today. Thanks, though. I gestured towards the door, and the stripper, bless him, took the hint and left with a shrug. Now it was just me and Caleb and the 6,000 people silently screaming in the comments. He didn't speak. His eyes traveled down my outfit and then snapped back up to my face, full of alarm, like I was holding him at gunpoint with a feather duster. Caleb, I teased, trying to salvage the moment. You gonna tip me, or just stand there looking like a repressed Victorian man? That did it. He flushed bright red, turned on his heels, and bolted. The door slammed. I stared after him, heart thudding. Yeah, that tracked. I ended the stream quickly, mumbling a goodbye and shut my phone off. I wasn't surprised. I'd always known how this story would go. But damn, it still hurt. And yet, I couldn't think about the way he looked at me. Like maybe, for a second, he didn't see it as a joke. Maybe he saw me. Caleb's POV. I slammed my bedroom door a little harder than I meant to, my pulse still ricocheting in my throat. All I could see was him. Dylan. In that outfit. God. Lacy white apron, thigh-high stockings. That damn choker. It shouldn't have done anything to me. It should have made my thoughts twist in directions I had spent years pretending didn't exist. But it did. I crossed the room, flung myself into the desk chair, and ran a hand down my face. My fingers trembled, so I balled them into fists. That felt more me. Controlled. Safe. I reached for my tablet on the desk. The screen lit up with a familiar dashboard. Masked Monarch 88. My secret cosplay blog. Dozens of drafts, tutorials, and mirror selfies in armor. Robes, latex suits. Everything I couldn't do outside this room. I built this world where I wasn't boxed in, but buttoned up shirts and forced masculinity. And tonight, watching him, in costume, so alive, so unapologetically him, wrecked every defense I had. Dylan followed the blog, of course. He didn't know it was mine. He left comments sometimes, little ones, silly, flirty even. I reread those stupid comments more times than I admit. And now, they made me ache in a way that terrified me. I couldn't stop seeing the way Dylan looked at me when I walked in. Embarrassed, sure, but not ashamed. He didn't look away. I did, because if I hadn't, I might have stepped forward, might have touched him, might have ruined everything I spent years pretending didn't exist inside me. I wanted to say something, anything, but I couldn't, not while I'm playing the role everyone expects. That night, I lay staring at the ceiling, wondering if the boy in the maid dress and the knight behind the mask were, maybe, just maybe, made from the same egg. And I didn't know how to carry that. The next day, Dylan's POV. When I got home from work, I was already bracing myself for another awkward evening with a side of painful silence. Ever since the maid dress incident, the air between Caleb and me felt like static, tense, and ready to snap. Still, I did what I always do. I kicked off my shoes, changed into my comfy tee, and checked my TikTok. Bad idea, or maybe good? I didn't know. My notifications were on fire. Dylan and Mr. Hot Roommate Supremacy. Please tell me you're doing a cosplay collab. I let out a laugh that was more of a wheeze. Cosplay collab with Caleb? Mr. Ice Cube is human form. No way, right? But I needed the views. I needed the tips. And some stupid little part of me hoped that. Maybe he wouldn't hate the idea. Maybe he'd surprise me for once. I peeked down the hallway. Caleb was back. His door wasn't shut, but I could hear the quiet clacking from his laptop from his room. I took a deep breath, feeling like a rabbit walking into a lion's den. My feet barely made a sound on the hardwood as I crept closer. He didn't even glance at me. Dead-eyed, he lifted one hand and gestured towards the opposite couch. Sit. I blinked. Not hello, not what do you want. Just sit. I sat. He closed his laptop with a soft click, and finally looked at me. What is it? It wasn't kind, but it wasn't cold either. Just Caleb. I just wanted to talk, I said, voice cracking, like I'd never used it before. Actually talk? He said nothing, just watched me like I was a puzzle missing too many pieces, so I spilled it. I hate my job, I started. Like, really hate it. Sales is draining, people are awful, but I can't quit because I need the money. I came here to support my family back home, and rent's not cheap. And, well, cosplay helps. He didn't flinch, so I kept going. I started this account just for fun at first, but then it became something. People liked it. And yeah, sometimes I dress up and talk about a fictional crush. That's not so fictional. And last night was a disaster, but my followers, I exhaled. They kind of want you to cosplay with me. Just one stream. You don't have to do much. Just show up. It could help a lot. Caleb stared at me, blank as ever. I could practically see the gears grinding in that accountant brain of his. I hated myself for hoping. He stood. I'll think about it. Then he walked off. The next morning, I found him leaning against my doorway, arms crossed. I'll do it, he said flatly, if it helps your financial situation. My jaw dropped. Seriously? Don't make a big deal out of it, he muttered, turning away. But I swore. I saw the ghost of a smirk. A few weeks later, I never thought I'd see Caleb in a pirate costume, much less calling me darling, in front of thousands of viewers with a flirtatious smirk, like he was born to play the role of my swashbuckling lover. But here we were. What started as a one-time favor had turned into something much more. Every week a new theme. Knights and princes. Vampires and prey. Enemies to lovers. In some intergalactic war. And every week, Caleb sat beside me, his hand brushing against mine. His voice, a velvet caress as he whispered sweet nothings into the mic that had the audience swooning, and me silently melting. Look at the way he looks at you, Dylan. Caleb's totally in love. Get married already. I laughed them off on stream, but each time Caleb looked at me like that. So warm, So soft, so real. It chipped away at the wall I'd built around my feelings. He was different when the cameras were off. Mostly. Still quiet, still unreadable. But there were moments. Late nights, when he made me tea without asking. When he picked out accessories for my cosplay and muttered, "This color suits you better." And behind the scenes, there were touches, lingering fingers, subtle glances, even stolen laughs over inside jokes that only we shared now. My little crush turned into something massive and terrifying, and so real that I didn't know what to do with it anymore. And today we sat on the couch, post-stream, still in costume. Me in silk, him in velvet, as the golden hour lights kissed the edges of his jaw. I looked at him and smiled, heart racing. "You know," I said playfully, nudging his leg, "since you've started enjoying these streams so much, maybe one day you'll even start liking me." I meant it as a joke, sort of. Caleb's expression didn't change at first. Then it froze. His eyes hardened, lips pressed into a thin line, my breath caught. "And then, I would never love a man," he said sharply, "and if I did, it wouldn't be you." His voice was ice, shattering, cruel, like someone had knocked all the air out of me. I just stared stunned, as he stood up and walked out, not sparing me a second glance. The silence that followed was deafening. All those soft smiles, warm touches, whispered nothings. Had any of them been real? Or was I just the fool who fell in love with the fantasy? I sat there alone, still in costume, heartbroken like porcelain dropped from too high. Caleb's POV. I shut the door of my room behind me, and I leaned against it, breath shallowed, hands trembling. The words I said to Dylan echoed in my head like a cruel chant. "I will never love a man, and if I did, it wouldn't be you." God, what the hell is wrong with me? I sank into my bed, head in my hands. His face haunted me. That look in his eyes, hurt, shock, and betrayal. I didn't mean it, not like that. But the second he said, "Maybe you'll even start liking me," something had cracked open. Not just now, then, years ago. I was 10. Cold hospital room, white sheets, my parents gone. One accident. And suddenly, I was just the kid no one knew what to do with. So I learned how to shut all of it out. Stopped needing people. Stopped hoping they'd stay. Being distant was safer, easier. But Dylan, he slipped through my cracks. And now I've hurt him. Not because I didn't care. Not because I did. And I didn't know how to deal with that. I'd been alone my whole life. Maybe I didn't know how to be anything else. The next day, Dylan's POV. I was curled on the couch, in the same hoodie I'd worn all day, scrolling TikTok while my brain refused to shut off. The silence in the apartment was deafening, louder than any fan comment, louder than the note Caleb had stamped on my heart. Just as I was contemplating bed, maybe forever, my phone buzzed. "Surprise waiting at the door. Go check," my sister texted. Groaning, I shuffled over, ready for chaos, but froze. There she was, grinning like no time had passed. "Hey, loser," she said, crushing me in a hug. I barely managed. "How have you been?" "Your TikTok sugar daddy funds paid for my flight," she smirked. Hours later, surrounded by snacks and a crappy movie, she looked at me and said, "Spill." So I told her about Caleb, the streams, the kiss, the fallout. She just listened. "He's an idiot," she said simply. "Move on, you're hot, you're magic." For the first time in days, I smiled. By the time she left next morning, I felt lighter. Maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe it was just the beginning. A few days later, Dylan's POV. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, tugging at the collar of my sheer black shirt. Slightly scandalous, borderline divine. My hair was styled just right, eyes lined with a little kohl for flair. I looked confident, hot even. But I didn't feel it. My chest was tight, not with nerves about the date. Jug seemed nice, polished, an architect with a dimpled smile and enough charm to woo a room full of cats. No, my chest ached because I knew what this night really was, a distraction. A desperate attempt to outrun the ghost of Caleb. My sister had told me that he would realize my worth too late. But maybe it was time that he realized that he can't have me whenever he wants. Ever since he said those words, cutting, final, cruel, I'd been drifting. I stopped streaming with him. I avoided him like he was radioactive, which emotionally hurt. He kind of was the mixed signals, the touches. The way his eyes lingered and then burned with denial. It made me feel like I was going insane. I needed distance, a new start, maybe a new crush. Just like my sister had told me to do. So I swiped right, talked late into the night with Jug, let myself believe that there was something there. Even though it was hollow, even if it was a rebound, tonight wasn't about love. It was about forgetting the man in the next room who never wanted me. Or so he said. Caleb's POV. I had seen Dylan roaming in our apartment, but it felt like I was living with a ghost instead. After that confession and confrontation, we avoided each other as much as we could. And when Dylan saw me, he acted as if I was no one. And that shouldn't have bothered me, but I told him I'd never love him. I told him the kind of cruel lie that even I couldn't believe the second it left my lips. So why the hell did I feel like I was unraveling? I drowned my third whiskey, trying to blur the edges of his absence from my mind. But the universe, or karma, or whatever sick force out there had other plans. Because that's when I saw him. Dylan, wearing that shirt. Sheer, clinging dangerously. My chest seized, my thoughts short-circuited. His skin glowed underneath the bar lights. His laughter like static that crawled up my spine. But he wasn't alone. That architect guy, Jug, his date. I didn't hear the music anymore. All I could focus on was the way Jug leaned close to him, touched his wrist, smiled at him like he belonged there. No, 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 no. My hand curled into fists. I hadn't realized it. I didn't even recognize the emotion clawing at my insides. Jealousy? Anger? Panic? I moved. I didn't think, I just moved, straight towards them. Hey, babe, I said, too loud, too smooth, as I slid my arm around Dylan's waist, like it belonged there. His body stiffened instantly. Jug blinked. Babe? Yeah, I said casually. We're live streaming together on TikTok. Cosplay stuff. Pretty popular, actually. I smirked, pretending not to see Dylan's expression turn to horror. Jug looked at Dylan, betrayal painting his face. Is that true? You didn't mention any of this. Jug, Dylan started, but Jug cut him off with a sharp shake of the head. I think I've heard enough. Good luck with all this. And I watched Dylan's last shot at moving on, disappearing into the crowd. Dylan's eyes turned to me, eyes wide with rage. And there's something else. Hurt. He yanked my hand off him, gripping it so hard I actually winced. You don't get to do that, he snapped, voice low, trembling. You don't want me, Caleb, remember? You don't get to sabotage the one chance I had at something real. He walked away, straight to the bar. I followed him like a damn shadow. He threw back 3 tequila shots like water. Then he turned to me, eyes glassy but burning. You can't keep doing this. Can't keep giving me mixed signals, Caleb. You say I mean nothing, and then act like I'm everything. You can't break me and then pretend like you didn't. And for the first time, I had nothing to say. Because he was right. The moment Dylan turned away from me, I knew I crossed a line I couldn't uncross. I watched him push off the bar, stumbling slightly as the tequila started to take over. His steps were uneven, his posture drooping, like his body had finally given up on fighting gravity. Like maybe the weight of everything I'd thrown at him had finally crushed him too. And then I saw it, his knees buckling, eyes fluttering shut. I didn't think, I just moved. In 3 strides, I was at his side, catching him before he hit the ground. My arms wrapped around his waist, pulling him close. His body was warm, heavier than expected, and soft in ways I'd never let myself acknowledge before. I held him like something precious. I carried him all the way home. Dylan didn't stir much, his head resting against my shoulder, breath slow and even. For the first time, he wasn't performing, wasn't smiling for a stream, or pushing back with sarcasm. He was bare, raw. and I had broken this version of him. We had just entered the house when Dylan swayed in my arms, slurring, "I don't need your help, Caleb," as he stumbled towards his room. I reached out, ready to argue, but then he froze, his face twisting, and then he vomited all over himself. "Shit," I muttered, rushing to his side. The second he vomited on himself, any lingering pride I had shattered. Okay, I got you," I whispered more to myself than him. His knees buckled and I caught him, guiding him to the bathroom. He groaned, trying to wave me off, mumbling something about not needing me. But I ignored him. I cleaned him up, stripped the ruined shirt, and ran a warm cloth over his face and neck. He was trembling, lips parted like he wanted to say more but couldn't. Once we were in his room, I placed him gently on the bed. Pulling a blanket over him, he mumbled something in his sleep, and my hand instinctively brushed a strand of hair from his face. I froze, my throat tightened. He looked so peaceful, and I'd been anything but peace to him. "You don't need me," I whispered, "but I'm here anyways." I stared for a long moment, then I turned and walked out. But sleep didn't come easy, not when the image of his shattered expression was burned into my mind. I treated him like shit, and for what? To protect an identity I didn't even believe in anymore? The next day, Dylan's POV. I blinked awake, groggy and shirtless. My heart dropped. What the hell happened last night? I don't remember anything that happened after I had those tequila shots. And I definitely don't want to think that Caleb might have put me in bed. Before I could piece it together, the door creaked open. Caleb, of course. "What did you do to me?" I snapped, sitting up. "Were you that desperate? Caleb, you even stole my shirt?" His eyes narrowed, jaw tight. "You puked all over yourself, Dylan. I cleaned you up, then put you to bed. That's all." I opened my mouth, but he cut me off, voice flat. "Your shirt washed, ironed, and folded on your bed. I'm not the villain you keep trying to make me." Then he walked out, shutting the door softly. I was still pissed, not just annoyed. Boiling! Caleb had no right to crash my date like that. No right to put his arms around me and claim me like I was his. When he'd made it crystal clear I meant nothing to him. And now, acting like this gentleman. What does this even mean? The worst part? A part of me wants it to mean something desperately. Ugh. I replayed that stupid argument from the club again and again. The way he looked at me. Possessive, angry, jealous. And then, how quickly he went back to being that cold, emotionless void. Like it never happened. Like we never happened. Maybe we didn't. As usual, after freshening up, I started my live stream. But I stared at the screen. The chats buzzing were slower than usual. The numbers weren't what they used to be, not without Caleb. But I was still here, still standing, still streaming. "Hey guys," I said with a soft smile, adjusting my headset. "It's just me today." They noticed, of course. They did. "Where's Caleb? Are you okay? You seem off." The messages poured in. I told them it was a mutual decision, misunderstandings. But only I knew the truth. Streaming with Caleb hurt more than not streaming at all. Still, their love grounded me. Maybe I lost Caleb, but I gained something real too. I couldn't shut my brain off. I hated that he lived rent-free in my head. That despite everything, and those feelings, confused, lovesick, burning in my chest like a slow poison, kept gnawing at me every second. I wanted to scream. I wanted him to want me back. But mostly, I just wanted peace. And as long as I stayed near him, I never knew I'd have it. A few days later, I thought going back to work would help. I told myself the routine, the fluorescent lights, the fake smiles. I could hide in all of them. I tucked the memories of Caleb away, behind sales pitches and price tags. But the universe clearly had other plans. It started with the jingle of the shop door. "Oh my god," the customer gasped, eyes wide, with starstruck wonder. "You're Dylan, right? From TikTok. The Maid outfit. The live streams with your super hot roommate." I froze. I forced a tight-lipped smile. Yeah, that's me, I mumbled, trying to stay polite. But I'd appreciate it if... Why? When are you guys coming back? You have to stream again. Everyone's obsessed with you two. And what happened with Caleb? You guys haven't posted in weeks. Did you break up or something? Are you even together? Please don't say you're not. Each question hit me like a bullet, dragging all the pain and confusion to the surface. I bit my lip hard, trying to hold it in, but it spilled. Hot, aching sobs, right there at work, in public. My chest heaved as I hunched over the counter, eyes blurred with tears. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My heart was drowning in every word he said, every reminder of Caleb's warm hands and cold words. I didn't notice the cameras, or the people around me, not until I felt the heat of their stares burning into my back. I looked up, saw the flashes of phones, the pity in their expressions, and I ran. I bolted out of the door, my body trembling with shame. Back home, I collapsed inside, grateful Caleb wasn't there. I didn't check my phone. I didn't need to. My gut told me the worst. I packed in silence. Every item in the bag felt like closing a chapter I never wanted to end. I couldn't stay, not when every corner of this place reminded me of him. Just as I zipped the bag and shut open the door, he was there. Sweaty, breathless, eyes wide with panic. We both froze. I stood in the doorway, bag slung over my shoulder, heart heavier than I cared to admit. My heart cracked just looking at him, but I held my ground. No more pretending, no more waiting. I owe you this, I said, placing an envelope on the table. Your share from the streams. I don't want your money, Dylan, he muttered, eyes narrowing. It's not my money, Caleb. You earned it too, I replied, voice sharper than I intended. Don't make this harder. You've been giving me mixed signals, Caleb, I continued, voice thick with pain, and I don't know what to do with these feelings anymore. I know you'll never love me, not like I want, so I'm leaving. I need to go somewhere where I can keep hoping. I stepped past him, chest heavy, waiting for him to stop me, but he didn't. Caleb's POV. I was sprawled on the couch, mindlessly scrolling through my phone, trying not to think about him, Dylan. His absence echoed like a scream in every corner of this apartment. I told myself it was better this way. He deserved better. I wasn't made for emotions, for love. Not the way he needed. And then I saw it. A video. The caption reads, "Cosplay Dylan breaks down at work. Heartbreak or drama?" My heart dropped. I clicked it. The screen filled with his face, red swollen, crumpled in pain. He was shaking, sobbing, his voice cracking as he tried to hold it together in front of strangers. I couldn't breathe. That was because of me. I didn't even think. My body moved before my brain could. I grabbed my keys, my jacket, and stormed out of the door, the pounding of my heart louder than my footsteps. Every second felt like fire crawling under my skin. When I reached his workplace, I scanned the place frantically, but he was already gone. No trace of him, just the eerie emptiness and that goddamn video still playing in my head. I stood there frozen, like the world had stopped moving. His voice echoed again in my mind from earlier. You've been giving me mixed signals, Caleb. I don't know what to do with these feelings anymore. I owe you this. Your share from the streams. Don't make this harder. I need to go somewhere where I can keep hoping. I couldn't breathe. My legs felt like it was cement. He was gone. I made him leave. I broke him. What the hell was I doing? I sat down on the curb outside his work, and for once, I didn't bury it. I didn't suppress it. I let myself feel it. Everything. The guilt, the shame, the truth. All this time, I wore this goddamn armor. Stoic, cold, untouchable, pretending like feelings made me weak. Like masculinity meant shutting people out. But Dylan, he cracked through it. He touched parts of me I didn't know existed. And instead of embracing it, I ran. I pushed him away. I'd been living two lives. And Caleb, the anonymous cosplay blogger, who secretly wrote posts about how beautiful Dylan looked in each livestream. The guy who memorized every dimple in his smile, but couldn't say a single kind thing out loud. I was a coward. But not anymore. I loved him. and I was done pretending like I didn't. I shot up from the curb, heart pounding. I didn't know where he was going, or if I even reached him in time. But I had to try. I had to tell him that I didn't just want him in my videos. I wanted him in my life. Because if I didn't run now, I'd lose him forever. And that would destroy me. Later the same day, Dylan's POV. I didn't look back. Not once. My bags weighed down my shoulder, but not so much as the ache in my chest. The streetlights above buzzed faintly, casting pale halos on the pavement as I made my way to the nearest bus stop. Each step felt like I was peeling myself away from a world I thought was home, but had only ever been a dream stitched together with delusion and false hope. I had loved the wrong guy. No, I had hoped for the wrong guy. Hoped that Caleb's silence was shyness, that his coldness was protection, that somewhere behind those quiet glances and half smiles, he felt something. But all this time, he'd been nothing but a mirage. I kept chasing, blinded by the idea that he might one day soften for me. I reached the bus stop and sat down on the bench, wrapping my arms around myself as the night air bit against my skin. The silence around me only made the storm inside louder. Small sobs escaped before I could stop them. Breaking the night stillness, droplets blurred my vision and slipped down my cheek. I just wanted to disappear, to a place where Caleb's memory wouldn't follow me like a shadow. Caleb's POV. I was running, sprinting like hell down the empty sidewalk, my chest burning, throat tight, and panic cracking in every cell of my body. Please be at the bus stop. Please be at the bus stop. The viral video had shaken me. Dylan tears streaked my face, his broken voice, and all I could think was, I did that. I caused that. I pushed him so far that he ran, not just for me, but from his home we shared. And for what? My pride? My fear? I turned the corner, and there he was, Dylan. He sat on the cold metal bench, head down, arms wrapped around himself, trembling. His eyes were closed, but the tear stains on his cheeks glistened under the streetlight, like glass shards, and my chest cracked open. Without thinking, I rushed to him and dropped to my knees, pulling him into my arms. He gasped and jerked back, startled. What? Caleb? I didn't say anything. I just held him tighter, burying my face into his shoulder, silently praying he wouldn't push me away. And slowly, like snow melting under the skin, I felt him soften in my arms. When I finally pushed back, his eyes wide, wet, and beautiful, looked into mine with more confusion than anger. You're here? He whispered. I'm here, I said softly. His lips parted to speak, but I couldn't wait. I reached up and cupped his jaw gently, tilting his face towards mine. Then I kissed him. Soft, slow, apologetic. He kissed me back, and I swear the world stopped spinning for a second. When we pulled apart, his forehead rested lightly against mine, our breaths mingling in the quiet air. I'm sorry, I said, for everything, for being a jerk, for pushing you away, for being so afraid. Caleb, he whispered, still dazed. I have fallen for you, Dylan, I said, voice thick with emotion. I kept running from it because I didn't know how to feel anything. Not since I lost my parents. I thought being cold was safer, but you... Damn it, you ruined that. He smiled through his tears, the softest, sweetest thing I'd ever seen. Are you sure? He said. About this. About us. I took his hand in mine. I've never been more sure. It's you. It's always been you. From now on, it's us against the world. Dylan's finger tightened around mine, then promised me something, he said quietly. Anything. You don't have to be so cold anymore. I kissed his knuckles and nodded. I won't be. Not with you. Under the streetlight, hand in hand, the broken pieces slowly started to fit together. After a few days, Dylan's POV. If someone had told me a week ago that I'd be lying on my childhood bed, Caleb pressed up against my side while my mom made cinnamon rolls in the kitchen, and my little cousin whispered, "He's so hot," to my aunt, I would have laughed in their face. But there he was. After everything. The heartbreak, the screaming, the jealousy, the viral breakdown video. I needed space. And Caleb needed to learn how to breathe without armor. So we came here, to the only place I've ever felt unconditionally loved. And somehow, and watching Caleb slowly unravel and find his place in the chaos of my family felt like the gentlest healing I never knew I needed. That night, curled under the blanket of a half-eaten cookie on the side of the table, Caleb finally opened up. I used to write blog posts on cosplay, he whispered, eyes flickering towards mine, a nervous smile tugging at his lips. You? Mr. Brooding Muscles, I teased, nudging him. He rolled his eyes. Yeah, I was a closeted nerd. Still am. Wrote under the name Masked Monarch. I blinked. Wait, you're Masked Monarch? His brows shot up. You know me? Are you kidding? I used to follow every post religiously. He laughed, full and open. And for the first time I saw Caleb, not the guarded guy with walls taller than skyscrapers, but the boy who loved something deeply and had kept it hidden to protect it. And himself. He told me about the accident, losing his parents, and how he became emotionally cold to survive. Not to drown in grief. Every word cracked something in me. Because, God, I had no idea how deeply his pain ran. But as I listened, something bloomed. Something more than love. Understanding. Later, while helping my mom with the dishes, she whispered, "He's good for you, sweetheart. He brings out the calm in you I've never seen." And yeah, he did. The next morning, still in pajamas, we sat at the breakfast table talking about work, or the lack of excitement in it, when Caleb looked up at me and said, "Why don't we go back to live streaming? Or better, start vlogging?" I stared at him. Mid-bite. Seriously, we were good at it. People loved us, and I think we love it more now together. That word, together, sat so gently between us, and it clicked. We weren't who we were before. We weren't fractured halves pretending to be whole. We were healing, changing, creating something new, not just with each other, but for ourselves. So yeah, we said yes to vlogging, to filming the chaos, the love, the ridiculous cosplay bloopers. We said yes to something that finally felt right. I left my soul-sucking job because I knew I had the person who could handle me and who wouldn't judge me. Doing my favorite things with my favorite person seemed like a wish coming true. It wasn't just a wish anymore. It had come true and became our reality. This wasn't just a new chapter. It was a fresh start. Conclusion. Somewhere between the quiet mornings and the late-night editing sessions, I realized this life with Caleb was everything I knew I needed. It's been a year since he showed up, breathless and terrified, outside the bus stop and turned everything around with 3 shaky words. I love you. We've come a long way since that kiss that rewrote our story. Now we wake up to the sunlight spilling across tangled sheets. Coffee brewing and our laughter echoing through our house. Caleb's not just my boyfriend. He's my co-creator and my best friend, my calm in the chaos. His cosplay blog, it exploded once we merged it with our vlog. Turns out, our fans love seeing the real us. Messes, missteps, kisses, and all. We travel to conventions, cook weird recipe challenges, and sometimes just film ourselves doing nothing in particular. And people love it because it's us. My family still adores him. My sister teases us non-stop, and Caleb just blushes every single time. We're planning to adopt a dog soon. Something chaotic and loud, like us in our early days. Sometimes I catch him watching me, soft-eyed and smiling like he still can't believe I stayed. But the truth is, I was never going anywhere. And now, neither is he. We're not perfect. We've got old wounds and new dreams. But we're healing and growing together. And in every day, in big ways and small, we chose each other. And honestly, that's the happiest ending I could have ever asked for. The end. What type of cosplay are you into? Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force. And stay wholesome.